So we're just waiting for Esther to come in, and so for this, this is really the sort of launch of the art docs that Tide Rising Art Projects are doing for YouTube. It's now Esther Chin is the first of the art docs. It was sort of on pause for a bit, and so it's restarted with Esther Chin for a work that she did in 2018. And so we wanted to sort of talk to her about a little bit more about that work, and also to sort of think about what that work meant in her in her body of work. So we're just waiting for her to come in. This is supposed to be a very short discussion. It's a mini art talk, and we did a longer sort of studio visit art talk earlier this year with Sharon Norwood. So we would love for you to just check that out, but also to check out the YouTube video that was launched this morning for Esther Chin's work. So if you have any questions for her, make sure that you send in some questions as well. So there she is, and I'm gonna add her. So we're just waiting for her.
Hello, my apologies. Rain is starting to fall, so look at the internet.
Oh no, it's fine. I actually, I was a bit late because I couldn't figure out, in all of the practices, etc., that we've done, I just couldn't see where the live button is. And I guess
this is weird. Okay. Fine.
So good to see you.
You too.
Let's just jump right. I know. Let's just jump right in. Let's talk about that work that you did it was for the Black Mango residency that you did in 2018.
Yes. Yeah? So I did an installation which comprises my forms and my bougainvillea paintings, and I also did another installation outside, more like a memorial space. It's like a space for healing where you can go on because when I went to the gallery, I saw this space where they have this really nice tree, and then they have like a swing where you can sit and just kind of meditate and have a space to just think about different aspects of what's going on. So for that space, I incorporate the bougainvillea and some driftwood. I used to create like with the American Indians, they use dream catchers they put it over like babies' cribs for them to protect them from certain bad spirits. So using that as a reference, I created rooms, which is like in the shape of a triangle. So I used 3 driftwood, and that also correlates to the female form. And since that's what, then that ties back to representing my mom.
So you said in the documentary that work was about dealing with your mom's death.
Yes, so when so when I applied to go overseas to do my master's, my mom, she was chirpy and happy, but like person would come and say that there seems to be something wrong, but usually, the person that are close to you, they don't recognize that something is wrong, and especially, she's my mom, she's supposed to be strong, my mom, she's superwoman, she can't get sick, like she's the person that always takes care of me or her children, she there's no way she can get sick, you know. So when I started my program, oh, mm, she went to the doctor and do a checkup, and then she found that she had cancer. And then in the middle of my second year, she transitioned. So that was, I can't remember the day. It was a Friday. It was Good Friday actually. And I was walking towards. I was going to Confucius Institute because I was learning Chinese instrument. And I was walking across, and somebody called, and they said that, and the person asked if I was sitting down. I was like, no, I'm walking to class. And they said, and the person said that they'll call back then when I finish class. And then I continue to walk, and then when I reach like in the middle, my brother called, and then he said that he got a missed call too, and then that's how I found out. And then at that moment, everything just stops. Like I could just literally, like, all the students, everything just, I could just see like just a bright light, and I just could hear the birds. That's all I could hear, the birds. And then I just turned back and went back to my studio. And I just stayed there, and I just kind of went back to myself. And at that point, nothing really mattered. So for my piece at the residency, I wanted to kind of convey that feeling when, cause your mother is somebody, like, there's no other person that can replace her. I can love you. There's this unconditional love. So I wanted to put that into how the space, the installation is supposed to feel. Like the different emotions that you go through, the different aspect of how our body changes over that period of time. Like she used to be very voluptuous, as I said, like she had like a lot of hips, and then over time she just started to just decrease, and so, and now my work, even when I try to do certain types of work, it just go back to that. They're more back to nature, and I use a lot of ephemeral material because it's all about like that life cycle of how you're born, you grow, then you die, you transition. I don't know.
Do you want to take a break, Esther?
It's okay. Like, even although it's a little while, it's still hard. Because Tuesday, I talked to somebody that I haven't talked to for a good while, and the first instant was to tell my mom, and then so.
And it is going to take a while to get through it. And you really won't get through it. You really won't. What you will do is to maybe find a little bit of peace, but I think it will take a very, very long time. Yeah. It will take a very long time, and it's okay. You should allow yourself to also to mourn,
Mm.
The dream catchers. How could we talk about it? Because you said you also use the sort of form, the dream catcher form. How does that connect to mourning or the
I was
after?
thinking, well, for me, I was thinking more of the healing aspect of it. Like it traps the bad elements, the bad dreams, and then just like good thoughts. Because when you lose someone, parent, child, when you lose someone that's really important to you, that is the center of your world, that is your world, it's like somebody like you're standing and somebody just rip everything from underneath and you just falling and you're just trying to get just to breathe, and even that is difficult because like your heart and everything is just, and your thoughts it become negative sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like having that the dream catchers or the dream catchers to create that, taking away the pains that are certain bad thoughts from you and helping you to just think positive and to think about the good and all the happy times and everything that you have shared with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
The work that you also did for last year's summer show was also about your mother as well.
Mm.
Ribbon for Ma.
Ribbon from
Uh-huh.
so for that, so the elements are certain colors like that you know, gold. Like I can't remember from when I was small, from my basic school days, my grandma made her a gold dress, and that's what she wore. And she loved gold, like that color, like golden, like sunshine, just like her personality. She's always jovial and bubbly and very friendly and warm. So, and so I wanted to use the colors, like the gold and the reds and certain elements that speak to her and carry everything about her and my grandma, because my work is always about both of them, so there's like this interchange. They are both of them are and still is, my guardian angels. So, and I also incorporate some recycled material, but also thinking about consumption. Like we all thought that they teach us like you need to eat certain things, like eat healthy, and she did. She tried to eat healthy, not all the time, like some, but she tried her best. And like the things that we consume sometimes consuming us at the end. Like we're trying to drink water like what you're drinking, but you're drinking it out of a plastic bottle. And that is you basically reaching into the water that you're drinking. And the poly, that you don't know what it's doing to your body. Like even the water from the tap, they put chemicals in there, and if you leave it, you see everything start to form on the top, and that's what we consume, and then we create the crust and it damage our body. So I incorporate certain things that she likes, like the bottles or the bottle caps or the label from the bottle into the weaving. Like the one I did for I had one by the gallery in Montego Bay. That one incorporate the plastic bottle and how it has that kind of transparent quality to it. So it's also this substance that takes years to degrade, and we're always throwing it into the landfill.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just something that they have always taught me to being consumed by what you're consuming, but also take into consideration that we need to do our part also to keep the environment as clean as possible.
Absolutely. I have two follow-up questions to that, and one is, what was that process like of trying to create this kind of language of death that you, or a language of mourning, not death, but really of mourning? What was that? Because you talked about using different types of elements and different types of materials, but also sort of drawing in the personal and drawing from other sort of personal, other kinds of cultural forms and practices. So, what was that? What was that process like of trying to create a sort of language of mourning in the different works that you created over the last 2 years?
Because I have so many different ethnicity and like a true melting pot out of many one persons or people. So I draw from a lot of cultures, and then my environment is different. Like I've always have nature around me. I always have animals. My mom has always make use of everything. Like I've always seen that personally. So that's ingrained into my DNA plus into what I'm living at the moment. So I basically using all the different cultures, different identities, different experiences, and create Esther's language or Esther's way of doing a process, because my work is very process based. There's the material I have, can material I don't want to just discard. Like everything has a second life. Even when a person transitions, there is a second life. It's just that it's different, and until we reach that point, we don't really know what that life is. So that's why I do like the altar to just to be aware that we have different sides and spaces.
You know, one of the things that, as a follow up to what you were saying now and to earlier, is the weaving. I wanted to talk about the weaving. Did you do weaving for that the earlier Black Mango residency, or did the weaving come afterwards? Because I'm kind of interested in how sort of how you took up weaving, because I don't think you did that while you were at Manly, did you?
When I was at Edna, I did contemporary painting. So I did a large bubble wrap installation piece. And in a sense, I did interlock the petals into the bubbles, so it's kind of weaving in a sense, but a different aspect. But when I went to do my MFA, I met Arturo, and he has Native American and that kind of it, and his aesthetics is similar. Like he uses a lot of recycled material, like films and certain things that draw me towards his work. So I did weaving and sculpture, but soft sculpture, because I like sculpture, but because I've been so like I wanted more health conscious and environmentally friendly way of doing sculpture, because with welding there's a lot of it's toxic, and it's very toxic. Like right now I can still smell because I did iron pour, and I love doing it, but it has this other side to it, where the fumes, like when the metal is melting, and you have to skim it, and then that gulp of it oh um so it's I gravitate more towards the soft sculpture and weaving. And weaving also is more of a meditative process. You pack, you lock, you pack, you lock, and it helps you to concentrate and to think. And with weaving, you can, because of the process that I like to do, especially using plastics and different materials, it's a way, like I use plastic bags to create mats with you create dresses out of it. So we basically use the different strands to create another material with weaving. And it's traditional.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what I was going to say is that I was talking to Anika and last night actually, or was the night before, and I really feel that some of the exciting work that has come out of Jamaican art in the last several years is textile based weaving, artists who are sort of doing using textile based processes, and I was kind of excited when I saw the work at the National Gallery, because this is just another example of kind of an interesting aspect of contemporary Jamaican art. So just to sort of shift gears slightly, in the documentary, you also mentioned how going to China was such an important experience for you in your own kind of life journey. And it also seems that it had echoes in the work that you created, both I think it's in the Black Mango residency, as well as the work that came after that. So could you talk about that experience?
So that experience was bittersweet again, because it was just after losing my mom. So it was like a dream come true. Wanted to share with her, but then I couldn't. And then we are around strangers, and like we want to tear up, but we can't cry, because it's like you have to hold it. You can't let it go. You can't let it go. And you have to be strong. Like that's what a lot of people love to say. Like you have to be strong, and you are so strong, but you're like mush inside you.
Yeah.
And you try to just put that grace, but you really just want to just curl up in a ball. So at the time, like I wanted to, because losing my mom and she doing everything to, it's like, no, I don't have anyone to speak to. I don't have that kind of heritage, that lineage. I don't know anything about my family. Because on both sides, they basically typical Jamaican experience. Me, the mother side, father side, they basically don't really, some person don't care to exist and some don't. So I tried to research about the Akkas, like when the first Chinese came here, and about the different history and the different clashes that they had between the Chinese and the more Jamaican, African descent in the 80s. So I didn't really know what to expect. So when I went there, it was like the first experience of seeing, being in an environment where at least most of the persons sort of look like me, but not really. Yeah. I kind of feel like, a part of the puzzle you fit in, but you don't. There's just a tiny gap between how you fit into the puzzle because they look at you, but then like an experience I had was when I comb back my hair and it's nice and shiny, it's flat. But then when you pull, it goes poof,
Yeah.
and the lady physically like she jumped, like, oh boy, what's going on here? Because my hair sprung back because I have both ethnicities.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't fit in. I'm not Jamaican enough, apparently, because person see me and like go back to China. That's what they usually say. I'm Christian when I go back. So I'm not Jamaican looking enough. I'm not Chinese enough because my hair is not thick and that. And then I'm not black enough because I look Asian-ish. So then it's like, where do I fit in? So going there, that's like the closest to a way of fitting into the puzzle or a puzzle or yeah. And then I also saw other persons who are Asian and their skin was tan. So then I'm like, oh, okay. So then there's this connection that and then there's a connection between, and then I also went to a textile museum where I get to experience how silk was made and the whole process and how the Chinese create different materials like from different, they create the astronaut suits and use natural material to create fabric. I also went to more contemporary areas where I think like a lot of persons would stop us, like because I was working with another Jamaican person that is not from Jamaica. He looked more Jamaican than me actually. Because he has the dreads, he has the darker skin, and so he looks like the typical Jamaican, but he's actually from America. And so a lot of persons would stop us and trying to take pictures. And so I don't know if that's good or bad, because you can be offended. Yeah. They want to touch your hair, but when they compliment your hair, because you look like them, but you're not really like them. So but it was a good experience to sort of find somewhere where I semi fit in or somewhat. I didn't like the language barrier was there, but I didn't get that sense too much. I don't know if because we were with a group, they kind of protect us from that. Like if I go back by myself, then it would be a different experience. But going with the Confucius Institute,
that's it, you right?
The version I went to was at America, in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah. But it would be a member.
And does that there was a question. Danielle was asking about whether you were able to show your work there and what was the reception.
No, I didn't get to show my work at a gallery space, but I did show a few pieces to, like, silk pieces I did, because I also did silk painting to some of my, I guess, schoolmate, classmates, but not to the Chinese populace.
So, but a lot of the work that you've been doing since graduation or for your final year project actually deals with this your Chinese Jamaican identity, and from that sort of bougainvillea bubble wrap piece that you talked about earlier, could you, for those people joining in who might not know about that work, could you tell us a little bit about that work?
So for my final year show at the Edmund Manley College of Visual and Performing Arts, I did basically an installation of different paintings. So it's like painting with petals, I call them. I use the bougainvillea petal to create different paintings, both by inserting them into a large sheet of bubble wrap, because the bubble wrap was created to be like a wall. It was supposed to be a wallpaper, but it didn't catch on, so a lot of person they didn't accept the bubble wrap as a wallpaper. So they use it more as a protective material, which it is, like things that are fragile and will break easily. When you wrap it with the bubble wrap, it creates a barrier, so it actually becomes a very useful item. When I was when I that's when I started my day field, I had also just lost my grandma, so it's the same. Like she's older, and you think she would, you kind of accept the process, like you lose her at some point, but she was still young and vibrant and moving around. So it still affects me to this day also. So that piece, I was thinking of, like trying to protect some aspect of my heritage and culture, and I fuse because even up to now, it's hard to figure out who I am in a sense because of how I'm treated wherever I go, because I don't really fit into a particular space. It, it, it's lonely losing the people that accept and love me, and then it's lonely that persons that they grow up around you, but they still see you as an outsider.
Yeah.
So that's why I do a lot of research on the Asian culture, and I try to fuse that into my work and my African culture. It's probably not as evident, but it's still a part. It's still a part of the work.
Well, we're heading into, I think, the 30 minutes mark. I know this is actually so interesting, and I lost count, so I just got a little warning. So let me just to sort of wrap up. Can you tell us what you're doing now, or what you're interested in?
So at the moment, I am thinking about doing another installation where my works are about healing and the process of healing from loss, trauma, whatever it is that you're going through. But for me, the loss of my grandma, the loss of my mom, the loss of two persons that is a world to me, and the loss of my identity too, the loss of a country, and then recently you have the COVID. So I call it my Rona baby, or my Corona baby. So working on a body, I'm thinking about what I want to do for a body of work to kind of represent that. Like being alone, being in a space where you only have yourself, and then every thought of the person. So is it's in the process
Okay. Okay.
of working through.
That's fine. But I'm kind of interested in what you're going to do next. So thank you so much, Esther. And I'm really glad we had this opportunity to talk because I feel like it gave us it has given me anyway, a very different perspective and understanding, or a sort of not a different, but an extra level of understanding of the work that I didn't have before. So thank you so much. Thank you to the Tide Rising team for organizing.
Okay, before I go, I wanted to show you what the just paper looks like. So that.
Okay. Okay.
And then just to end off, I'd like to say a prayer and to wish my ancestors the process. Just wishing a good afterlife.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you. Absolutely. This was just great. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who didn't see the video, do remember it's on YouTube, so you can take a look at more about the work that Esther did through the Black Mango residency, and yeah, let us know what you think. Bye, everyone.